Alright, so let's talk about it. Netflix's Wednesday had a huge opportunity to dive into the Addams family's rich, gothic history, and they completely dropped the ball. Instead of making the family's legacy a real part of the story, they crammed in way too many plot points. Like, seriously, there was a lot going on. And if you've seen my other video where I break down just how messy the plot was, you know what I'm talking about. Here's what they should have done. Save the whole Addams prophecy and supernatural family history for a later season. Let season 1 actually breathe. Focus on the murder mystery and Wednesday's relationship with Tyler. Tyler still gets caught as the Hyde, but his master? That reveal should have been stretched out. Or, better yet, just extend the season to 13 episodes so there's actually time to develop everything properly. And here's the thing. The Addams family works best when we see them through an outsider's eyes. That's what made the 1964 black and white TV series so fun. Instead of pushing their history to the side, Wednesday could have used Tyler as the audience's way into it, with Wednesday uncovering everything alongside him. That would have made their dynamic so much better. Now, if you're new here, I've already talked about Wednesday's messy plot and whether Tyler has DID, both of which tie into this. If you missed those, I'll link them at the end. But for now, let's get into how Wednesday should have actually handled the Addams family lore and why they completely wasted Goody Addams. The Addams family history, from the 1964 series to the 1990s films. So, let's talk about the Addams family history, starting with the 1964 black and white TV series. And by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, you actually can watch it on YouTube now.
Can you believe that?
Anyway, in the episode The Addams Family Tree, the family consults a genealogist, and that's when we get some wild details about their ancestry. One of their ancestors apparently burned down the Library of Alexandria. Yeah, that Library of Alexandria. And during the Salem witch trials, another ancestor was involved, though, considering their history, I think they were the ones being burned at the stake rather than doing the accusing. Now, let's fast forward to the 1990s Addams Family movies. These films expanded on their backstory, but in a different way. Instead of diving into their ancient history, they focused more on their family fortune and legacy. In The Addams Family, 1991, it's revealed that the Addamses are obscenely wealthy, but their fortune is shrouded in mystery, hidden in a vault beneath their mansion. The film hints that their wealth has been passed down through generations, likely due to, let's just say, unconventional business ventures. There are even jokes about how they've always been on the wrong side of history, meaning they were probably funding pirates, grave robbers, or some other morally questionable endeavors. Then in Addams Family Values, 1993, we get a glimpse into the family's cursed ancestry. Morticia casually mentions that their ancestors have been accused of everything from heresy to cannibalism. It's all played for laughs, of course, but it paints a picture of a family that has always been outcasts, feared, hated, and completely unbothered by it. The Addams Family multiverse, not the Panderverse. Now here's where things get interesting. With all this deep, eccentric history, the Addams Family has real potential to become a proper multiverse, but not in the cheap, lazy way that some studios do it, like the Panderverse. That's just lazy writing. I'm not saying Netflix should just recycle the same old characters over and over. No, they should expand the Addams universe by introducing new Addams family members from different eras, ancestors we've only heard about in passing but never actually seen. Imagine a Wednesday spin-off where we meet a 19th century Addams who is a notorious outlaw in the Wild West. Or maybe a steampunk Addams who is accused of necromancy during the Victorian era. The family's history is so rich with weirdness that it practically begs to be explored. But instead of doing that, Netflix's Wednesday gave us a watered-down prophecy storyline that barely scratched the surface of their lore. Instead of weaving the Addams family's bizarre history into the actual mystery, it got sidelined in favor of a generic, chosen one plot. And that's just wasted potential. How Tyler should have been the audience's lens into the Addams family. Now, why do I think Tyler being the audience's lens into the Addams family would actually work? Simple, because that's exactly how the original 1940s black and white version did it. In that show, visitors would always enter the Addams mansion, and their reactions to the family's weirdness were half the fun. Every time a normal person stepped inside, we got that hilarious contrast between their horrified expressions and the Addamses just being themselves. But since Netflix's Wednesday leans more into mystery and drama, this kind of dynamic could have been reworked to fit the show's darker tone. Tyler's involvement with the Addams family would have given him a real arc, and honestly, their estate could have been his safe haven. Through Tyler, we could have naturally met more Addams family members instead of the show barely using them. Because, let's be real, Wednesday doesn't exactly express much emotion. Having Tyler react to their bizarre history while Wednesday is completely unbothered? That would have made for a fantastic comedic and dramatic duo without turning the entire show into satire. My stance has always been that Tyler would actually fit with the Addams family.
Why?
Because he's an outcast among outcasts. How this could have played out. Now, here's how I'd write it. Tyler, or rather, the Hyde, starts seeking answers. He wants to understand why his master, Laurel Gates, aka Miss Thornhill, is targeting Wednesday, Nevermore, and outcasts in general. This could be a perfect excuse for him to start digging into outcast history, including the Addams family's own history. Oh, and by the way, I've already talked about the theory that Tyler might have dissociative identity disorder. You can check that out at the end of this video. Using dramatic irony and time travel to explore the Addams lore. Now, how would this all work? I'd actually write it with a bit of dramatic irony. Meaning, the audience knows Tyler is the Hyde, but he himself or Wednesday doesn't. That alone could have added so much tension. But let's take it a step further. The Addams family already has a mystical element to them, so why not introduce a time travel subplot? Picture this. Wednesday and Tyler accidentally step into some kind of time vortex on the grounds of Nevermore Academy. Maybe it's tied to the prophecy, maybe it's some long-forgotten Addams family magic. Either way, suddenly, they're there in the 1600s, right in the middle of the actual events surrounding Joseph Crackstone. We could have contrasted the modern-day tourist version of Pilgrim World with what life was actually like for both normies and outcasts in the 17th century. Imagine Wednesday and Tyler experiencing firsthand what it meant to be an outcast back then, watching Goody Addams flee after Crackstone burns down the meeting house, maybe even witnessing the formation of the original Nightshades. And this could have fixed one huge plot hole. Where did Joseph Crackstone's magic even come from? The guy's a normie, so how did he suddenly wield that green glowing staff when he was resurrected? Did he discover some kind of kryptonite against outcasts? A tool that allowed him to wipe them out? These are the kinds of questions that never got answered in Season 1. Why this needed its own season? A separate season focusing on history and prophecy would have actually made the whole Chosen One storyline work. Instead, the show crammed it all into one season, along with the murder mystery, the romance, the Hyde plotline, the school drama. You get the point. The result? Nothing really got the depth it deserved. And imagine this. What if, while in the past, Wednesday learns that Crackstone's descendants are still carrying out his mission? What if she uncovers that they are the real enemy in the present day? That alone would have made the prophecy angle feel earned rather than just thrown in for drama. So, yeah, splitting these storylines into separate seasons would have been a huge improvement. Instead, we got way too many plot points fighting for space, and in the end, none of them really stuck. At the end of the day, Wednesday had all the ingredients for an incredible show, an iconic character, a rich gothic history, and a built-in audience who wanted to love it. But instead of embracing what made the Addams family so unique, it got bogged down by too many plot lines, leaving everything feeling rushed and underdeveloped. The Addams family's legacy could have been a huge part of the story, but instead, it was pushed to the sidelines in favor of a generic prophecy plot. Tyler could have been the perfect lens through which we, the audience, got to explore their strange, eerie world, just like the classic versions of the Addams family used outsiders for comedic and narrative contrast. And if they had really committed to the supernatural side of things, they could have gone all in. Time travel, deep-cut Addams ancestors, real stakes in the outcast versus normie conflict. Instead, we got a season that felt crowded and unfinished, with big ideas that never got the time they deserved. But hey, that's just my take. What do you think? Did Wednesday do the Addams family justice? Or did it completely miss the mark? Let's talk about it in the comments. See you next time.